most of us have been conditioned to believe that health comes from the right pill, the right prescription, or do you say the latest drug? But what if the real health doesn't come from managing the systems, but from finding and fixing the root causes of our problems? So, hey everyone, welcome back to another powerful episode of The Mindful Living. I'm your host Avik, and today we are going to have a conversation that could completely shift the way you think about your health. Yeah. So, our guest today is Dr. Kevin Smith. So, welcome to the show, Dr. Kevin.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Amazing. So, dear listeners, before we delve deep into the discussion, I'll quickly love to introduce you with Dr. Kevin. So, Dr. Kevin has been practicing functional medicine since 2001, and he's the founder and clinical director of the Chronic Conditions Center in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, and is widely respected for his ability to make complex medical science simple and practical. So, thousands of patients have come to him after feeling frustrated by the traditional medicine's lack of answers, and also have found new hope through his root cause approach. Yeah. So, Dr. Smith is also a speaker and the author, and his second book on functional medicine set to release later this year. And his mission is very clear, to help people resolve the chronic health conditions without the drugs or the surgery, restore the energy, and reclaim their independence. So today we are, diving into some of the powerful topics like how to resolve thyroid problems, whether the immune systems plays a role, why the insurance industry actually controls much of the healthcare, and most importantly, how to have more energy, lose stubborn weight, and get rid of those everyday aches and pains. So, uh, welcome to the show, Dr. Smith.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So, Dr. Smith, let's start with some one of the most common frustrations like people face, which is the thyroid problems. So, from your perspective, what do you think are the biggest misconceptions about thyroid health?
One of the biggest misconceptions is that
Mm-hmm.
you can control thyroid issues with medications. Um, Medications such as Synthroid or levothyroxine, very commonly prescribed drugs,
Okay.
only help about 17% of people. The rest of the people are not going to be affected. And I think that the reason why is because there are many causes, many peripheral things that can disrupt thyroid function.
Mm, okay. So,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, please, please.
well, so some of the one of the biggest issues
Mm,
is that we have to identify whether or not there is an autoimmune component
mm,
that is present.
yes.
Uh, Autoimmunity means that the immune system, which is your body's defense system, starts
Mm,
attacking and destroying parts of the body. It's a very common issue. When the immune system, that's your white blood cells that are supposed to be in the circulation, that are being uh, going around looking for invading bacteria or viruses or a parasite. Every single time you breathe in the air, every time you drink water, every
mm,
time you eat food, every time you touch soil, you're getting potential bacteria, viruses, other things inside your body. And so the white blood cells go around and start attacking and destroying these invading bacteria. But what
mhm,
happens if that defense mechanism that's supposed to be protecting your body starts attacking your own body parts? And
okay.
that's called autoimmune disease. Auto meaning self.
Mm,
If it attacks a certain body part, that body part is going to start to become compromised. And there are over 100 different autoimmune diseases that have been identified by doctors. It all depends on what body part is being affected. If it affects the thyroid gland, that's called Hashimoto's disease.
Okay.
And Hashimoto's disease was first discovered in the 1920s.
Mm.
Um, 90% of everybody that has low thyroid problems has an autoimmune component. That's 9 out of 10 people. Doctors never check for it, and so it becomes undiagnosed or misdiagnosed.
Okay.
And that's one of the biggest reasons why the drugs don't work.
Got it. So, like, how does your functional medicine approach to the thyroid differ from what most patients experience in the traditional medical care?
Well, we look at all the different things that could be causing a
Mm.
disruption of thyroid function
Yeah.
peripherally. So the biggest one, like I said before, is Hashimoto's disease. It's an autoimmune condition, and it's present in nine out of 10 people.
Yeah.
The other thing that differentiates my approach is that I look for all the different peripheral things, what I call triggers. Triggers are things that could uh, mess up the thyroid function, causing problems, causing low thyroid function. And there are about 10 of them. These are things like anemias, blood sugar imbalances that lead to insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes, cortisol problems. Cortisol is your stress gland, is your stress hormone, excuse me, that regulates your autonomic nervous system. So, if it's out of control, it can and will cause thyroid issues.
Mm.
Sex hormone imbalances. Sex hormones include estrogens, progesterone, testosterone. Remember, boys and girls make both, and they have to be in the right amount for your
Mm.
gender and for your age. Chronic inflammation and oxidative stress, um, gastrointestinal issues, such as how's your absorption, the um, the bowel transit times of the things, get food sensitivities and food allergies, chemical sensitivities such as exposure to household cleaning items, and stealth infections. All of those things have the potential to cause problems with the thyroid gland, and all these things the medical doctors never consider. They never test for them. They never even think about them. All they do is they measure a lab called a TSH, and they jump to conclusions from there.
Got it. And it's really an eye-opening, I'd say, and because so many people walk away from appointments being told that their labs are normal, yet they still feel exhausted, foggy, or stuck. So, yeah, yeah. And like you have said, that the immune system plays a major role in the thyroid problems. So, I mean, if you can explain the connection between autoimmunity and the also thyroid health in a way that uh, listeners can easily grasp.
Okay, so imagine this. Imagine your thyroid gland, which is a small butterfly shaped gland in your neck, and it's under attack. And the white blood cells attack and destroy the gland. It prohibits the gland from functioning normally if it's under attack and it's being destroyed. Um, the thyroid gland, the autoimmune problem, if it attacks and destroys the gland, the person is going to start to experience low thyroid symptoms.
Okay.
Low thyroid symptoms include things like low energy, or you feel tired all the time, weight gain, even with diet and exercise, the hair falling out in clumps. And for a woman, females are 8 times more likely to develop autoimmune problems than men when it comes to the thyroid. So when they start their hair falling out in clumps, premature balding, um, cracked or weak fingernail beds, It can cause infertility. If you're a woman of childbearing years and you're trying to start a family and you can't, that may be the key reason. Gastrointestinal problems that cause constipation or diarrhea or both, problems with insomnia, problems falling asleep or staying asleep, problems with low libido, problems with your skin feeling being too oily or dry and flaky. These are all signs or symptoms of low thyroid disease. And one of the biggest reasons for that is Hashimoto's. And as let's say, for example, that you go to see a doctor, you go see an endocrinologist, or you go see your family doctor, and the doctors put you on thyroid replacement medications or hormone replacement medications. And he starts you off on a prescription of, say, 88 micrograms per day. And then a year later, your thyroid issues are still there. In fact, they're worse. So the doctor has to up the prescription. Maybe you're taking 100 micrograms. And then a year later, your problem's even worse. So the doctor raises it again. And then it gets worse after that. And then the doctor raises the prescription again and again and again. And so the doctor is so busy chasing down your symptoms when in fact, what they should be doing is looking for the root cause of the problem. What caused this issue in the first place? And there are autoimmune considerations as well as triggers, and the 10 triggers that I previously mentioned.
I can understand. Yep. So, uh, I mean, obviously, like, what do you think? Are there any specific triggers that you see again and again that people should be aware of?
Well, I think like if you just took like
Mhm.
gut problems are very, very common. If you're having a problem with
Mm.
your gut, if you're having a problems with absorption of nutrients, you can't absorb your food properly. That is a very, very common cause of thyroid problems. If you have problems with, say, a leaky gut problem, leaky gut is when your food particles that pass through the gut for normally you're supposed to get absorbed properly by the gut. But with leaky gut syndrome, the food particles go through the cell walls directly into your bloodstream. The body doesn't know what it is. It doesn't recognize it. It doesn't recognize food as food particles because they're big clumps of food. So what does it do? It attacks it and it spins up the immune system and it causes autoimmune conditions. And this is very, very concerning because there's a lot of responsibilities of the gut. For example, 90% of your body's natural um, neurotransmitters, which are chemicals that control your brain, are manufactured in the gut. Things like serotonin and dopamine. If they are not being manufactured in enough quantities and correctly, you're going to experience things like depression or brain fog, memory problems, mood problems, nervousness and irritability, and such and so forth. And um, it's also the site of 80% of your body's immune system. So if your gut is not healthy, you're going to be predisposed to colds and flus all the time. So people that don't eat a healthy diet, they're going to be causing problems in other parts of the body later on.
Hmm. I understand. Yeah. That really reframes it, definitely. And also, like, you are very outspoken about how the insurance industry shapes the healthcare. So, why do you believe that insurance companies, not the doctors or the patients, ultimately control the system?
So when you go to see your family doctor, by the time you walk into their office, your treatment plan has already been predetermined by an
Mhm.
actuary that sits in a cubicle in a city away from you, who's never met you. When the doctors
Mm.
order blood tests, they're going to order a
Mm.
very, very narrow panel of tests in order to arrive at a diagnosis, in order to prescribe a drug. In other words, they're going to do exactly whatever the insurance companies will dictate that they will pay for, and nothing else. So really, it's the insurance companies that are in the driver's seat, not the medical
Mhm.
doctor. And when I've talked to medical doctors, I'm friends with many.
Mm.
They are very frustrated by this because, they go to school for a long time, and they are the ones that should be making the decisions about what's best for the patient, not the insurance industry. But it's the insurance industry that controls everything in this country. They not only control what goes on in the doctor's offices, they also control what happens in other types of offices, such as a chiropractor or a physical therapist or an osteopathic physician. Anybody that takes insurance, the insurance companies are going to control what happens in that office.
Got it. Mm. So, like, if the listeners want more freedom in their healthcare choices, what practical steps can they take? What do you suggest?
Well, the first thing that I think that people need to understand is that they are not just limited by insurance. There are things that they can do for their health that exists outside of insurance.
Mhm.
Sometimes there's going to be a financial investment in their body, but just like if they need to buy a new car, or if they need to buy a roof for their house, or if they
Mm.
need to hire a plumber to fix something in their house, that's an investment too. With healthcare, your health is the most important thing in the world, because if you're dead, you can't enjoy anything, right? It's more important than family, more important than money, it's more important than career. Your health is very precious because when it starts to fail you, you'll do anything to get it back. And I think that a lot of times people have this mindset that the insurance companies are ultimately responsible for paying their bill. They're not. The insurance companies are not responsible to you. They are only
Mm.
responsible to their shareholders. And they typically will do just enough not to get sued and nothing else.
Got it. Mhm. And so this might sound contradictory. Like some people would argue that drugs to save lives, and without them, many people wouldn't make it. So how do you respond?
Well, I'm not anti-drug. I'm not anti-physician.
Mm.
When it comes to acute problems, or problems that require a heroic measure to save a life, like if a person has a heart attack or a stroke, or they need surgery,
Mm.
their doctors are great. They're phenomenal at treating that stuff.
Mhm.
However, when it comes to chronic diseases, they don't
Mm.
have a good track record. So chronic diseases are things that are ongoing, things that have been there a long time. Things
Mm.
like high blood pressure, for example. High blood pressure is not something that medical doctors can cure. They cannot cure it. They can manage it, but that's different from curing it. Curing it means that they give them a permanent resolution to the problem. Thyroid disease. Thyroid disease is another chronic issue that medical doctors don't have a good plan for. The names of the treatments and the medications may have changed over the years, but the general way that they deal with it has been around since 1965, and it hasn't changed since. And I think that people need to pay more attention to the basics. They need to pay attention to the things that you need to do to stay well. Things like you have to have good nutrition. You have to exercise. You have to get a good amount of sleep. You have to manage your stress, either through meditation or some other type of tool that you have available. What happens is that a lot of times people don't pay attention enough to these basic elements of wellness, and then a problem happens, and then it starts to get worse. Either intensity or the frequency of the problem starts to get worse and worse and worse, and then they have to rely on pharmaceuticals to
Mm.
to help the problem. Where the root cause of the problem is lifestyle, and that's true for a lot of problems, whether it's thyroid issues or it's gut issues or it's other aches and pains. A lot of things can be cured permanently just by paying attention to your body.
Mm. Got it. Yeah. So I mean, where do you personally draw the line between when drugs are necessary and when root cause approaches should take priority?
Well, I always think that a person has a responsibility to take care of their body as much as possible. They have to stay in good shape. They have to be in a healthy weight. They have to pay attention to what they eat. They have to pay
Mhm.
attention to exercise habits, things like that. If they were to do that, if everybody was to pay attention to those things, then the majority of the people that need to take medications would no longer need those medications. I can really think of one disease where drugs can actually cure a problem, and that is through the use of antibiotics for clearing out a bacterial infection. I really can't think of any other condition where drugs can cure, give a permanent resolution to a problem. They can mask symptoms, but the minute that you stop taking the drugs, guess what happens? If you want to test that, take a person with high blood pressure that's being managed by, say, lisinopril or an ACE inhibitor or a beta blocker or a calcium channel blocker or one of the other types of drugs that medical doctors will give them. If you said, let's try an experiment. Stop taking your drugs for a while. See what happens.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen?
The
It's gonna
bottom.
go right back up to where it was. It's
Exactly.
gonna go to dangerously high levels. I don't recommend that to anybody. And like again, I'm not anti-drug, I'm not
Mm.
anti-doctor, but I believe that there's a time and a place for everything. My approach would be mostly prevention, or it's the correct problem. So what I'll use is lifestyle modification. I'll change their diet. I will use certain supplements to
True.
balance the equation. So, for example, if there's amount, you're the world is very very toxic. The air we breathe, the water we drink, the food that we eat, everything has toxins in it. And your body is a natural detoxifier. So the organs of detoxification, meaning to get rid of waste products, include the liver, the
Yeah.
kidneys, the lungs, and the skin. Those can get rid of waste products very well. But what happens if the amount of toxins that go in exceeds the body's ability to get rid of them? That's when you develop an increase in toxic load. And so you need to detox the body. It's like cleaning house. It's like getting rid of garbage and cleaning up the floors and everything else. And so a liver detox helps with that. There are two types of toxins that the liver has, for example. There's water soluble and there's fat soluble. Water soluble toxins are very easily excreted by the body every time you go to the bathroom, every time you sweat, every time you breathe out, breathe in oxygen, breathe out carbon dioxide, you're getting rid of toxins. Water soluble are very, very easily excreted by the body. Fat soluble toxins are very stubborn. Fat soluble toxins tend to cling in the fat cells of the body, and they need help. So, what we use is a supplement that's a detox formula that turns fat soluble toxins and transforms them
Yeah.
into water soluble, where they can get rid of it. So, some of the signs or symptoms of toxicity are very similar to thyroid issues: chronic aches and pains, brain fog, forgetfulness, um, low thyroid disease. All these things are very, very can be very easily corrected, but they're not corrected by drugs. And that's the thing about this, that where I come into play, as I'm not a replacement for drugs. I'm in addition to this stuff, and I'm trying to help people by looking at the root causes of the problems.
Great. So I really love the perspective, I'd say. And any suggestions you want to share?
Um, as far as how people can contact me for more information, or
Mm.
is that what you're
Yeah,
asking?
yeah, yeah. How
Okay.
the people can connect with you? Yeah.
Okay. So if people have medical problems that are not being resolved
Mm.
to their satisfaction,
Yeah.
um, they can reach out to me.
Mm.
They can go to metabolicsolutions.net for more information,
Okay.
or they can contact me if they want to give me a call and they want to discuss their issues with me.
Mm.
I can set up a free discovery call. It could be through Zoom or it could be on the phone.
Okay.
The discovery call is a very informal conversation that we'll have, that where, well, you can tell me your story, tell me what's going on, and then I can tell you what I think may be your best next steps. So
Perfect.
you can give me a call at area code 412
Mm.
595 seven
Yeah.
three three two. You
Yeah.
can go to my website also and learn about more information about these issues at www.metabolicsolutions.net.
Mm. Perfect. Perfect. Lovely. So, dear listeners, what I'll do is I'll put all the details into the show notes for your easy reference. And please remember that the real health is not prescribed, it's built step by step with awareness, action, and care. So, with this hope, until next time, this is your host, Avik, and this has been The Mindful Living. Stay curious, stay healthy, and never stop asking deeper questions about your well being. So, thank you so much.